How to get your significant other to sail with you. Hi, Captain Jeff from the Sailing Academy. I get asked this a lot. People find out that my wife moved aboard a boat with me and sailed away with 5 kids. The question is always, how the heck did you get your wife to sail with you? So I've got a friend who is a professional captain, and his wife also is a sailing instructor and a captain. But he went out on a day with her, and they were crossing the Gulf Stream, and he watched the weather. He looked at it, and he's like, both of us are really great sailors. We're going to have a great time. And took off. The weather was absolutely terrible. Now, my friend was having the time of his life, sailing in these big, huge waves and surfing down the waves with his boat and heeling the boat way over. But his wife was absolutely terrified. Now, problem with that is that's the last time she ever sailed with him. So his dream of cruising crashed to the ground right there. So tip number one, make sure it's a perfect day. Nice and warm. You don't want them cold. You don't want them wet from splashing waves or rain. You want it to be a beautiful day on the water, and make sure the waves aren't too big so the boat's not bouncing around, so they have a fantastic experience. There's a saying in sailing that we'll have a beautiful, perfect sailing day, and then we'll spend 100 days trying to recreate that one day. So we got to imprint that on their mind of this is a beautiful sport to do. Tip number two is slowly introduce them to various conditions. I was sailing out with my wife and my 2 young sons, and we were going across the bay to spend the night at a beautiful place. And my wife started looking at the wind and started looking at the waves, and it was very, very calm out. But she was getting a little nervous and maybe feeling a little bit seasick. And me and my son knew that if this didn't go well with mom, that our cruising plans for the future might not happen. So my little son was convincing her, going, "Oh, come on, mom, it'll be okay." And she's like, "Maybe we should go back to port." And he said, "No, we're halfway there. We're already halfway across. Let's keep going." And so she ended up doing it, and it was a big victory for her. And so the next time in those conditions weren't that big of a deal for her. She enjoyed sailing. Tip number three is always sail to a memorable destination. So part of the package of the deal is more than just sailing. For example, my wife is an artist, and one of our early sails together, we just happened to sail into a town that was having an art festival. A little bit of research on my part, but we had a great time, and she loved going around to the different vendors. We got a couple of art pieces to bring back home with us. So the trip was more than just a sailing experience. It involved her interest as well. And lastly, consider going out with a professional captain. When I was just learning to sail, I wanted to involve my wife in some of my sailing trips, but she wasn't real confident in my abilities yet because I was just learning how to sail. So I booked a trip with a professional captain on a beautiful yacht, and she had a wonderful time. And she wasn't really concerned whether I could handle it or not because we had some professional was right there the whole time if we needed help. And that really, really helped us out, made her feel very confident. That's why the Sailing Academy now, gosh, 20 years later, we offer day sails with professional captains and overnight sails for couples that aren't ready to take a yacht out by themselves yet. So that's a really fun option. Make sure that the trips are memorable, enjoyable, and safe. If you've got other ideas that have really helped you get non-sailors into the sport and go sailing with you, put them in the comments below. We'd love to share those.